Hey there. So I've got this tool that helps you publish notes from Tinderbox into DEVONthink, and you can use it by downloading the file and starting to add your notes to it. But of course, it's really common that we already have notes that maybe we want to get into DEVONthink, and maybe it's a document we've been using for a long time, or we just put together something really quickly and it didn't go into the main document, and so now we want to figure out how to get those notes into DEVONthink. And the original tool, Tinderbox to DEVONthink, has some instructions on how to do that. I have put together a little helper that I think makes it easier to get started. So here we have an existing Tinderbox document, my very fancy thing with 2 notes that I've been working hard on, and I can go from note 2 to note 1 and it links. So now the question is, given this existing Tinderbox document, how do I get that into DEVONthink? So what I've put together, this is the web page for where you can download the most current version, either by clicking here and publish Tinderbox to DEVONthink TBX and downloading that file. You can also look for the latest release, because if you go here on the main thing, this is where I'm actively developing it, and so there may be some in progress stuff. But if you go to the releases, these are what I consider to be stable. So you can download this, and essentially this provides tools that we can use to configure a new document. And it provides the original published Tinderbox to DEVONthink. And so I'll put these side by side. And the main thing that's different, if we follow the instructions, if we look here for publishing from existing documents, I've created a little tool called the Doctor. And here's some instructions in it, and the Doctor essentially is a little helper that will check to see whether your document is configured properly to support this tool. So essentially we're just going to follow the instructions here on the Doctor. There is a little bit of setup that we have to do manually that the Doctor can't check. Everything else that we do we'll also do manually, but at least we'll get some assistance from this Doctor helper to check to see if it's set up correctly. So there's a little explanation, and from the file menu we will inspect some stamps, and I need to get started by creating a stamp called Run Note Action. You'll see here that it's already included in the main document because I've selected this document over here, but when I go to my existing document, there are no stamps, so I'll create a new one. And this is just a really helpful kind of stamp that is used anytime I have code in a note. I can run this stamp and it will execute the code that's in the note. So there we go. So we got done with one. Now we want our stamps that are actually going to publish to DEVONthink. And that executes some code that will come later. And I copy code from there. That should be publish notes to DEVONthink. Because you have to hit return after making any changes here to kind of save the changes. And then we have a third stamp which publishes all the notes. Make sure that we're in the right document. You see that when we click over here on the right, it says publish Tinderbox to DEVONthink. That's the name of this file. When I click over here, it says TB to DEVONthink. That's the name of this file. So when you're making any changes in the inspector, just make sure you're looking at the right file. Okay, so that is the sort of initial setup. Then now, I realize this is missing a piece of instruction, but what you want to do is copy this Doctor note into your existing document. So this is actually some action code. And this is effectively a comment. It's just a long string and it's a comment, but here is the action code. And we have a number of checks. They're just various things that the document needs to have set up, and this will tell us what to do. So I'll select the doctor and I'll run the note action, and you see all these fail. The document is not set up properly with the things it needs. So with each check, we have a remedy, and we follow the instructions in the remedy. It's not automated, we have to do it, but at least it's broken down and hopefully pretty helpful. It certainly helps me. So file, built-in templates, and HTML. Now I run the doctor again, and you see our check HTML template passes. So I'm just going to go through these one by one and get them set up. It only takes a few minutes. It goes pretty quick once you've done it once or twice. So I need file, built-in prototypes, code, and I will run the doctor again. And I have Tinderbox configured to use Command R as a shortcut. So I may have used that the first time around, that habit, and now I will. So if you see these things change on the side magically, that's because I'm running the note action with the keyboard shortcut as opposed to using the menu each time. So those ones are pretty simple because they use some things built into Tinderbox. Everything else is still pretty straightforward. So this is saying that to get the actions, we need to copy the actions container to the root of your document. So I go to the kind of toolbox thing, I copy that container, and I paste it in. And I pasted it in the wrong place, but I can move it down. And now I run the doctor again. I have the actions. So I need some Apple scripts. It's real similar. I copy the Apple scripts. I'll click on actions so that it hopefully shows up underneath that. Right, so I paste the Apple scripts in, run the doctor. You don't have published the DEVONthink, so now we're getting into changing some attributes. So for that, I press Command 1. I forget what, it's the inspector, window inspector. And now I need to make some user attributes. So I will make a new one called publish to DEVONthink, and make copy and paste so that you don't mess up, but I'm confident in my typing today. So plus we have the doctor to check to see if I got it right. So it's Boolean, it defaults to false. Run the doctor again, passes. We need a export group. So this is going to be a string, and this is very important that it has a default value. It's just, if we don't have a default value, the doctor won't be able to find it. So we'll make a new user attribute. It's called DT export source. It's a string and unpublished. The value doesn't matter so much as that there is a default. Go back to the doctor, run it, we're good. We have one more user attribute, which is also a string. Now this is what lets you select when you link back from DEVONthink into Tinderbox. It'll use one of these different views, and this lets you choose on a per note basis what kind you want. So those are the options that'll come up and suggested, and I usually like outline, so I'll make that the default. Again, you need to have a default value here so the doctor can find it. And one last thing, so we copy the TB return URL template. So that lives over here in the toolbox, and there's this template called TB return URL. We already have templates from creating the HTML template page before. I'll paste that in, and now when I run the doctor, we should be good. So this is just saying, hey, the document is all set up to be able to publish to DEVONthink. So now the sort of magic happens from having a special variable, which we created, called publish to DEVONthink. That's a Boolean variable. And I'll set that for both of these. And I need to check it to enable it. And now I'm just going to do this in one go. You have these individual stamps that'll publish one at a time. I just want to publish them all. That'll go through the whole document, like for any that are marked as published to DEVONthink, and publish them. So you see it worked. It created a source URL, one for each one. I click that. It opens up my document in DEVONthink, and the links work. I hover over it. You see note 2 goes back to note 1, back to note 2. Now the other cool thing is we have a backlink from DEVONthink to Tinderbox. So see over in Tinderbox, note 1 is selected, but I'm looking at note 2. I click it, takes me to note 2 in the outline view. I don't think I've ever done this before, so DT, export TB view, and we'll see how this works, because I only ever use outline to go back. So we'll see if I can use a map. Maybe the map needs to be open to begin with. We will have to publish this again, which sets the backlink. So since I changed the value on this, I'll publish it again. And now, see, it changed the URL, so it says map. Click it. Hey, look. Tinderbox opener note and a map. Pretty neat. So that's it. That's how you can get the publish to Tinderbox to DEVONthink functionality in an existing document. If you already have an older version of this, you can just keep using it, of course. If you want to have this newer functionality, which is important because some things have changed, like instead of using my boolean and my string and those kind of pre-made variable names, we have these new attribute names that are specific to this, so it doesn't conflict with other tools. In that case, if you have any old stuff, you'll need to go through and delete any of the old actions you have in any of the old Apple scripts, and then go ahead and run the doctor again, and once you get that check mark, you're good to go. And if you have any questions or anything, you can always ask on the forum. We have a long forum thread about this from people who've been using it for a while, and this is kind of out of date, but if you scroll down through the 69 posts, you'll see the latest stuff that's going on. And if you got any questions, have any problems, reply to this thread and say help, and I'll do the best I can to help you out.